What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I just have to let you guys know it feels great to be Ego. Both of my predictions for this fight card, were 100% right. I was right. I called them both. A lot of people disputed what I was saying. They said, "Oh, you're an idiot. You're not an expert. You don't know what you're talking about." Blah blah blah. But I was right. In this video, it's not going to be that comprehensive of a breakdown in terms of round by round. I usually study the fights. I recorded it. Um, so I'll watch it again in detail and probably do an assessment of the fights. As far as the opening fight, it was a good fight. We seen Kano and Theo Payne, and it was a tough, grueling fight. And I think the right person won. I thought the fight was a lot closer than what the judges had it, but I thought Kano did enough to win. He threw probably like an equal number of punches, plus his punches looked like they had more effect on Theo Payne. So I think the right man won. Scores could have been a little bit closer. I'm really not going to spend too much time on the Ishe Smith Carlos Molina fight because I was thoroughly disappointed in that fight. Very lackluster, very boring. Like if you had to go on a food run or a beer run, that would have been the opportune time to do that. So moving right along, Danny Garcia versus Lucas Matthysse. This was, in my mind, the fight that had the potential to steal the show, and it did. After I watched that fight, I was happy that I spent $75 with the pay-per-view. Like I had no regrets just from seeing that. I was like, damn, I haven't even seen Canelo and Mayweather, but this is already worth my money. And keep in mind that I said the Kano fight was good. The fight with Ishe Smith and Molina sucked balls. And I was still content just by seeing Lucas Matthysse and Danny Garcia. This was a fight that I predicted. I had Danny Garcia winning. I said possibly late stoppage. And at times it looked like that could have been an option. But anytime you have a devastating puncher like Lucas Matthysse, you never want to get too overzealous, too reckless, too careless, because he has an equalizer that could change the fight plan or change the course of events. A lot of people gave me flack. They said I didn't know what I was talking about. Lucas Matthysse is a machine. He's a monster. I agree. First of all, here's a little disclaimer. I like Danny Garcia and I like Lucas Matthysse. I said that going into the fight. I will still, even after watching, especially after watching this, support these fighters. They showed heart, chin, willpower. Matthysse was giving Danny Garcia some shaky moments late in the fight, and his eye was fucking swollen. This guy was a game competitor. He really was trying to win, and he at times came close to looks like stopping Danny Garcia. So his power is really the real deal. There were some things he didn't look as sharp as. His body shots, I think he wasn't consistent. He landed some good body shots, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he was consistent through the entire duration of the fight with that. Obviously, his eye was bothering him. His vision was completely fucked up. And that's bad because Danny Garcia's one of his prime weapons is his left hook. And it was hard to see that punch coming. So Danny Garcia was tagging him a lot in the middle rounds. There was a knockdown, whether you guys classify it as a knockdown or not. It was a blow that made Matthysse take the ground. His eye looked fucked up. Again, some of you guys gave Danny Garcia no shot. You said he sucks, he's weak. Even though he's the champion, and I told you, go watch my videos. I said he is the champion. So one, you got to give him credit. Two, another big thing that I felt would come into play, and I think it did. Danny Garcia has been the underdog. He's had more of those oh shit moments with top caliber competition. The Zab Judas, Eric Morales looked like he had him hurt at one point. Amir Khan was just blazing fast, and he was really putting in a lot of work in the first two rounds and outscoring Danny Garcia and possibly hurting him. And I've seen Danny Garcia, Kendall Holt fight was another prime example that comes to mind. Danny Garcia got hurt by Kendall Holt, and he weathered that storm. And again, these Philly fighters are tough as fuck. That's where Rocky's based out of. They're tough, they're gritty, they have that bite down. If you look at some of the Philly gyms, they're not the industrial Nautilus 24-hour fitness looking gyms, but they get the job done. They have the necessary equipment. They look grimy, low lights, and that's where he comes from. So I knew he had heart. I knew he had chin because Zab Judah fight showed me that. Zab Judah was hitting him from angles. Zab Judah is a fighter with power. They say in boxing, power is your last thing to go. And Zab Judah is a southpaw, so I know Danny Garcia didn't see all those shots coming as opposed to fighting an orthodox fighter. That being said, still people didn't give Danny Garcia a shot. They said, oh, your prediction sucks. You're wrong. Like I said, watch the video and you'll hear why I said that. But I felt Danny Garcia has had more of those oh shit moments, which in boxing, when you're on the elite level, could be more beneficial because to me, Danny Garcia showed me that he's been hurt. He showed me that he's human and he knows how to weather that storm. Like I said, Zab Judah was rocking him and buckling his legs, and he still didn't even get dropped. He didn't go down, and he weathered the storm in the championship round. So that tells me two things. He has heart and chin, and he's very determined and in good shape. Lucas Matthysse, the thing with him, I feel he's had solid competition. Lamont Peterson was the best resume in his last like 5 fights. But Lucas Matthysse has been overwhelming people with his power to the point where he knocked Lamont Peterson cold out in the first 3 rounds. He didn't really have to respect Lamont Peterson's power early because Lamont Peterson is a wear you down type fighter as opposed to someone who has respectable power from the onset of the fight. And I told you that would come into play. The fact that Lucas was plowing through people almost worked to his disadvantage because you pit that against a gritty Philly fighter who's the world champion, who looks like he's anxious to keep his spot. I mean, since the Erik Morales first fight, Danny Garcia has risen. Like, I've seen him in magazines, on his Instagram. It looks like he has a good following, and Twitter, all that. So I'm sure he's anxious to keep that fame and that celebrity. So hell of a fight with Lucas Matthysse. There was some oh shit moments. Danny Garcia was clearly hurt to me in portions, but it also looked like Lucas Matthysse got hurt. So proving once again this is the sport of boxing. These fighters are all human. No matter how tough their chin is, they can be hurt. I mean, Antonio Margarito had one of the best chins of his generation, and Shane Mosley showed that he can be hurt. Hell of a fight. Like I said, I wouldn't even be against a rematch if Danny Garcia decides to stay at that weight division. I don't know if he's outgrowing it because he had a little bit of trouble on the scales and had to reweigh in. But I wouldn't mind a rematch. I also think Amir Khan, if he fights him again, that's going to be bad news for Amir Khan. I don't see Amir Khan beating him. It looks like Amir Khan is on the downslide and Danny Garcia is on the uprise. And like I said, if Danny Garcia ate some of them shots that Lucas Matthysse was sending, I don't see what Amir Khan is going to provide. I don't think Amir Khan has Lucas Matthysse type power. I think he has like more wear you down power, and his hand speed is incredible. So once Danny Garcia gets adjusted to that and acclimated to that, I think it's going to be another short night, just like the first fight, even though Amir Khan moved up in weight. So Danny Garcia, I think, is the real deal. Lucas Matthysse, I also think, is the real deal. And for anybody selling these fighters short, you have to keep in mind, unless you're Danny Garcia and you fight Lucas Matthysse, then you're going to have a tough fight unless he's just mentally broken from that loss. Because one, Mathisse's eye was fucked up. And then two, Danny Garcia had to walk through fire to get that victory. I mean, there was a couple of times where he looked really hurt. And if Lucas Matthysse fights someone else and they don't have Danny Garcia's chin in ring intelligence, then Lucas Matthysse is still going to be dangerous. So I think Danny Garcia has definitely earned it, the top 140-pounder. If he moves on and gets a Mayweather payday, I'm definitely on board with that. I don't see him beating Mayweather, but I think he definitely deserves the payday based on his performances. He's been the underdog in his last, 4 fights, barring the Erik Morales 2 fight. A lot of people said Judah was going to beat him because stylistically it was a horrible matchup for him. Judah being a southpaw fighter with power off a good win against Paris. And he proved you guys wrong. I stopped doubting him. I told you when I first seen him I wasn't too impressed. He didn't have impressive speed, or his power didn't look so impressive in the Erik Morales fight. But the more I see him, the more I was on board and the more he grew on me. No homo. Moving on to the main event. Not really much to talk about. There's more to talk about in the Lucas Matthysse Danny Garcia fight because I feel that was a fight that was fought in the trenches. The Mayweather fight, it was pretty clear. It was almost like a typical Mayweather fight. Another prediction I got right. Almost typical in the fact that as the fight grew or wore on, Mayweather got sharper and sharper, better and better. He always has like the filler rounds. Truth be told, a lot of people are like, "Oh, Canelo's the new king" and all kinds of stuff. So line up all your excuses, pile them up. It's the catch weight. Mayweather was running. Mayweather's scared. He doesn't want to fight Pacquiao. Whatever you want to say that's really irrelevant to Canelo getting outboxed thoroughly. Mayweather just put on a clinic, and it is what it is. Good thing for Canelo is he's young. He's 23 years old. He can bounce back from this. And props to him. I mean, same thing with Guerrero. These fighters didn't get knocked out. They were just getting pot-shotted and punched to death. But, I mean, they didn't get knocked out. They went the distance, so they can still say, hey, I went the distance. And he's only 23. Like I said, he's going to bounce back. And another thing, unless you have Mayweather's hand speed, his power, his footwork, his chin, his everything, what he brings to the table, Canelo's still a viable, tough opponent for the guys at 154. Personally, if the fighters look like they did today, Ishe Smith lost, but if Carlos Molina fights Canelo, which is maybe a move, so Canelo could get a world title shot immediately after a loss because he is the poster child for boxing in Mexico. Judging by how Carlos Molina was very disappointing, as I stated early in this video, I don't see Molina beating him. I think Canelo will be, especially after tasting a loss, he'll be very hungry. Molina is awkward, but he didn't look as sharp. And Ishe Smith is not a known devastating puncher. So I really don't see what he's going to provide for Canelo to lose that fight. Like I said, he didn't even look good against Ishe Smith, who to me was one of the weaker champions. As far as Mayweather, like I said, Mayweather's Mayweather. He's definitely an anomaly. This dude is 146 pounds this morning, he said, when he woke up, and then he ate some more. And by fight time, he weighed 150, which was under the catch weight. Canelo outweighed him by 15 pounds. Canelo was like 165, I believe it was. And there was nothing Canelo could do. Canelo was getting just punched. There were really no oh shit moments to me. There was a couple good shots that Canelo landed, but nothing too serious. And a lot of people were comparing this to the Miguel Cotto fight. A lot of people were comparing this to the Oscar De La Hoya fight, saying Canelo's fresher legs. He's younger. He hasn't taken punishment. But what you guys fail to realize, and I think Mayweather said this in an interview, these fighters, Oscar De La Hoya, they've been in the trenches. They've been in warfare with fighters like Chavez Sr., fighters like Shane Mosley twice, when Shane Mosley was like very destructive. They've been in tough fights. Same thing with Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto fought punchers like Randall Bailey. He fought tricky fighters like Paulie Malignaggi. He fought the Antonio Margaritos, the Pacquiaos. So it's different. So Miguel Cotto giving Mayweather problems, he's a lot more experienced. And I think people didn't really factor that into it. But like I said, I'm not even here to bash Canelo. I like him. I'll continue watching his fights. Like I said, a loss to Mayweather is not the end of the world. You're just another like hash mark, or another tally on Mayweather's list. And again, the dude's an anomaly. He's outweighed by all these fighters: Guerrero, Victor Ortiz, Canelo. He's outweighed by these fighters. He's older than all these fighters. Canelo's 23, Mayweather's 36. That's like over a decade. That's 13-year difference. And he's doing what he does. I mean, he's sharp. He's elusive. Like I said, line up your excuses. Tell me why Mayweather won, because it was the catch weight or he was running. It's called fucking boxing. It's a sweet science. And it's Canelo's job as a professional who's getting $12 million to find a solution to crack the Mayweather code, to find a way to beat him, to track him down, to cut off the ring. I don't know what, maybe Oscar De La Hoya being in rehab and not being in Canelo's ear the night of the fight, but I honestly thought Canelo was one of the tougher competitors that Mayweather was going to have to deal with, especially off his performance, Austin Trout. That's a career high performance. That was like one of his best wins. I thought there would be some oh shit moments. Some people said that Mayweather would get knocked down to the canvas and taste the canvas for the first time. And I honestly thought Canelo would have a better showing. I mean, I can't even say his showing was better than Robert Guerrero. It definitely wasn't in the lane of Oscar De La Hoya against Mayweather, or Zab Judah against Mayweather, or Miguel Cotto versus Mayweather. I think all of those fighters gave Mayweather a tougher fight than Canelo did. But like I said, on the upside, he's young, and unless you can do what Mayweather does, he's a tough competitor. He's not going to have to search. He's not going to have to worry about fast hands, like countering him to death like he does with Mayweather. So hell of a night for boxing. It's historic. Lil Wayne came out with Floyd Mayweather on the ring entrance, and Justin Bieber. Lil Wayne was rapping one of his oldest songs, A Milli, and I couldn't understand what the fuck he was talking about. It sounded horrible. Sounded like radio white noise. He's like, I was like, what the fuck is this? It just sounded terrible, so that was unnecessary. And then Lil Wayne proceeded to watch the fight with no shirt. That was unnecessary as well. But like I said, props to everyone who fought on the fight card. Props to Canelo for taking a tough challenge. He didn't pass the test. Mayweather did win by a majority decision. And I'm not even going to spend too much time on that because we all know that was some bullshit. I don't know what CJ Cunt or whatever her name was. She also scored Timothy Bradley over Manny Pacquiao, I believe. So she should have her license revoked. There's no way on earth that fight was a draw with Canelo and Mayweather. And they scored it a draw, that particular person. So that's clearly, like, I'm not even going to get into it because it is clearly an abomination. Like I said, that person should have their license removed. If that was a draw out of 12 rounds, it wasn't like it was a 8-round fight or 10-round. Like, that's 12 solid rounds. Like, what 6 rounds did you give fucking Canelo? That's what I really need to know. And if you agree with that scorecard, please let me know what rounds you gave Canelo, time frames, and why you gave them to Canelo, because that was some bullshit. Other than that, Mayweather's Mayweather. He did what he did. He deserves a break. Another thing for people who are lining up these excuses, keep in mind Mayweather fought for the second time this year against an undefeated person, and his first fight against Robert Guerrero in May was against a fighter who was undefeated at welterweight. 2 fighters that outweighed him. And Robert Guerrero was a southpaw. Southpaws can always be tricky. Canelo was undefeated. He brings power to the table. He looked good on the heavy bag. And I know you guys are going to come with some bullshit-ass excuses, but also keep in mind that, like I said, Mayweather fought twice, which is something he never does. 2, he was nursing a hand injury that he sustained in the Robert Guerrero fight. So that's another thing. So it didn't look like he had any problems punching the fuck out of Canelo. And Canelo outweighed him by 15 pounds. Like, this dude is clearly fighting out of his weight class. He doesn't need to be fighting at 154 in general, and he's making people look amateurish. So, like I said, Mayweather, you got to play some high, especially with how y'all were talking. Y'all were talking like Mayweather was bound to lose, Canelo's the king, and all kinds of stuff. So, I'm going to send a separate video, and we're going to revisit some of those comments. So, stay tuned to the channel. Like I said, both my predictions are right. You need to fuck with me. That's really all I got to say. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.